Rise and shine, superstar. It's your favorite light coach, MB. And today is a great day to be alive. Why? You know why, because you're still here. So stop what you're doing, comment below, and scream at the top of your lungs. Come through if you are thankful that God woke you up this morning, because you already know gratitude is the absolute best way for you to start your day. And if you're one of those people who's not thankful to be alive, then I challenge you to just sit back and reflect on all of the things that you have to be thankful for. You can still breathe. You can still see, you can still walk, you can still run, you can think, you can talk. There are plenty of things to be grateful for, regardless of whatever you're going through right now. And it may feel like it's going to last forever. You may feel like you can never get out of it, but I promise you, it's only temporary. The pain only lasts for a season. But you got to be strong enough to live through it, because you were meant to go through it. You weren't meant to be taken down by it. So don't make a permanent decision based off of a temporary situation. Tribe. Do it for the culture. The chain that we are talking about today is the culture chain. The Urban Dictionary defines for the culture as a person or a group of people doing things that they wouldn't normally do because the thing that they're doing is hype. Like it's what's hot, you know. They're doing that because everybody else is doing it. So in other words, somebody being a follower. Now, I know that's not you. I know you're not a follower. But maybe you are. Maybe that's why you can't quite get to your goal the way that you want to. Maybe you're not quite getting there as fast as you think you should. Maybe you got some following instincts in you that you need to remove. You remember back in 2016, they came out with Pokemon Go. So Pokemon Go at that point now was almost 20 years old, right? It was hot back in the 90s. Kids would come home. I was one of them. Watch it after school. They had their little Pokemon trading cards. I wasn't one of the trading card kids. Not that it just wasn't me. But some people were, and people were making fun of people with the trading cards and going there in the cafeteria. You got elementary school students trading Pokemon cards and all this other stuff, playing Pokemon with cards. Fast forward almost 20 years later, and the same people that were probably making fun of the people playing with the Pokemon cards have the app downloaded on their game. I'm talking about fully grown people with jobs, with responsibilities, with bills, playing Pokemon. Like they walking around with phone in hand, can't see nothing around them because they trying to catch them all. Like they are addicted to Pokemon Go. I remember sitting in the office of a job I used to work at, and I'm looking at like 30-year-old, 40-year-old, 50-year-old men literally walking around the building, inside and out, trying to catch Pokemon. Like they were caught up in the culture, because that thing came out and it had everybody consumed to it. I didn't even download the app because I was just loving being a fly on the wall and watching how these people who are supposed to be at work working are walking around trying to catch Pokemon. So get this, there was a study conducted by some researchers in Indiana from Purdue University in 2018, I think, or 2016. It was in 2016. It came out in 2008. 2016. After they let it out, they did a study over 148-day span. So it was a couple of months before July when Pokemon Go was released to a couple of months after July when Pokemon Go was released. And they found that in a certain county in Indiana, that there was a 47% increase in car accidents and crashes and collisions. But get this, that 47% increase, which ended up being about roughly 143 more accidents than previously, was all centered around Pokestops. And if you don't know, because I didn't know, I had to research this too. Pokestops are like where you go and you change out players and weapons and stuff like that. Anyways, the accident increase was around Pokestops because people were playing Pokemon Go while they were driving. Like, it's enough that you got texting and driving, social media and driving. Now you got Pokemon Go and driving. And the accidents were increasing. Now, I'm gonna give Pokemon Go credit, though, because Pokemon Go got some people up and walking around more than they would have been. I saw some people who I know don't exercise on a regular basis walking around, getting a lot of miles in just because they were trying to catch mythological Pokemon. But people were caught up in the culture. Like, I'm talking about caught up. You know, like just They were gone to the culture because they wanted to catch some Pokemon. And it might have been you. I'm not judging because we all get caught up in something. Everybody has a way to get caught up. But we're talking about the chain of culture now. So I want you to sit back and think, what is it that you're caught up in? What are you doing for the culture? And I know you're thinking about it, but you're like, nah, that's not for the culture. That's a way of life now. It's a way of life now, but that takes you back to that conditioning mindset, right? Yesterday, what's the way? Conditioning is basically just a way of life, because conditioning is what you believe is acceptable behavior or acceptable circumstances. So let's backtrack. Prior to 2008, Facebook wasn't on your mobile device, right? It came out in 2004. Then you had the smartphones come out. Then the mobile app for Facebook was created and let out to the world in 2008. So prior to 2008, Facebook wasn't part of the culture. It wasn't part of the norm, not being on your phone in your hand all the time. But after 2008, it became like it's still part of the culture. Like it's dug. I'm talking about roots are deep here, okay? Facebook roots are deep. So what are you doing for the culture? Like, is social media one of those things that you're keeping up with because the people that you're around, your coworkers, your friends, or whoever, are talking about stuff that's on social media, but you don't want to miss out? So now you into it, or you into it because you just want to find something else to do to waste time. What we talk about, though, time has an expiration date. Time can't be renewed. You can't go back and be like, hey, can I exchange this moment for me to do this in time? Because once you spend it, it's gone. You have a spending limit. There's no getting it back. But you into it because of the culture. And I get it. It's your downtime, right? You just scroll through social media because this is your time for you to decompress and release from the day. Or this is your time to, learn how to make carrot bacon and bake cheese pasta, right? It's your time, though. Like, you're not really using that time to help yourself grow and get closer to your goal. You're literally wasting it. Like, I just want us to sit. How much time, think about this. How much time do you spend a day on average? Just take a wild guess. Do you spend on day on social media? How much time do you spend a day on social media? I'm talking about you checking in and checking out, checking in and checking out, checking in and staying, then checking out. Like, is it the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning? You wake up, roll over, grab your phone. You see what time it is. Oh, man, I got to go to work. What happened on social media? Is that you? So the average person spends about 2.5 hours a day on social media sites. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever. 2.5 hours. This is just social media now. We're not talking about Netflix streaming services or anything. Just social media. But I want you to think about this. I'm going to be generous because we're above average here. So we don't spend that much time. We don't waste that much time of our day, right? So I'm going to say you spend an hour a day on social media. If you spend an hour a day on social media every day, that adds up to 15 days a year. Just 1 hour a day, just 1 hour, not even the average of 2.5 hours, just 1 hour a day equals 15 days per year that you can't get back. 15 days of opportunities that you missed out on. 15 days of opportunities that you could have been using to better yourself. 15 days of opportunities that you could have been using to do something to get you closer to your goal. 15 days that are non-refundable, non-exchangeable. You don't get them back. So if you look at it from a standpoint of, well, it's only an hour, then that means you don't really value your time, which means you don't value your life. Because you're willing to waste an hour of it, even though you know that your time here there's a cap to it, and you have no idea when that day is going to come. And that just 1 hour adds up to 15 days in a year of unaccounted for time. Well, it's accounted for because it's on social media, but you're just sitting there watching other people live their lives. You're sitting there watching other people do stupid stuff. You're sitting there watching other people talk about other people, judge other people, and pretend to be people that they're not. When you could be using that time to actually get closer to the goal, to actually get closer to the life of your dreams. Like you said you wanted it. You started at the beginning of the year, right? With a New Year's resolution. Well, a goal, because I know the word resolution offends some people, even though resolution is defined as a definite decision, like I'm going to make a firm decision to do or not do anything. So you're right, we probably shouldn't use resolution. Let's stick with goal, because you said it at the beginning of the year, but you're not doing it right now. So it clearly wasn't a firm decision to do it. It was just, it sounded good. So yeah, it's not a resolution. You set a goal at the beginning of the year, and now here we are entering the second quarter, and you're still stuck in the same place you started 3 years ago. But you're spending an hour a day on social media. And some of us even have, like, I've seen this. You go into your phone settings, because you know the phones can track you doing anything. They can tell you all about yourself. You can go into your phone settings and set it up to give you an alert to when you spend, okay, 3 hours a day on social media, you don't need to spend any more time. And then that 3 hour pops up, it's 11:59 a.m. And you like, shoot, it's been 3 hours already? What do? You click it, and then you go back to social media. That's not going to stop you, because it's just something to do. Like in your mind, you've convinced yourself that if I set this alert, that I'm going to change. But you have to actually want to change. You have to actually want to stop doing it. You have to actually want to cut off the thing that you're addicted to, the culture that you're chained to. Because you feel like if you're not keeping up with what's going on in the world, what's going on in the news, what's going on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok, people going to come to you and start talking to you about things. And you're like, I didn't know, I didn't see that. And now all of a sudden you're the strange one, because you're not keeping up with other people's lives. You're not keeping up with people who are actually living their purpose, living out their dream, who have accomplished their goal. You don't know what they're doing because you're trying to do yours. And so now everybody else who's voluntarily become a spectator of the lives of all these other people come to you and say, hey man, did you see what happened with Will and Jada? Did you see what happened with so-and-so? Did you see what happened with the Kardashians? And you like, no, I didn't. What happened? Where you been? And now you feel guilty for actually trying to pursue your goal to get you out of the place that you tried to be stuck in the first place. So you get chained to the culture, and you've conditioned yourself that you wake up in the morning and you don't look at anything else. Like, that's the first thing you go to is social media, Facebook. What time is it? Correction. The first thing you do is see what time it is. The second thing you do is complain about having to get out of bed because you got to go work at a job that you don't like because you're not living your purpose. Then the third thing you do is go, all right, what happened last night on social media? Oh, they were up late. Oh, she got up early. Now she know good and well she don't need to be wearing that. So you already wasting 30 minutes of the hour, because I was generous because y'all are above the average, right? So you only do 1 hour a day. You don't do the average 2.5. You wasted 30 minutes of that hour scrolling through social media, and you hadn't even gotten out of bed yet. Or better yet, you got out of bed, you brushing your teeth, and you put the phone down, and you scroll and pick it back up. Because you don't value your time. You don't value your life. Like all this time that you're watching other people live their lives, guess what you could be doing? You could be listening to things that will help you live your life better. You could be watching things that could help you get your mind right and train you so that you can become that person that achieves the goal that they set and stays committed to what they said that they would commit to, as opposed to continuing to be chained to the culture. Because at this point, you're conditioning yourself to adapt to what's acceptable, right? Remember, we talked about that yesterday, what's acceptable, which is conditioning. So now you got 2 chains. 2 chains? Okay. I'm sorry. It just, y'all, I'm going to be me. I really do my best to keep everything in so that I can be serious, because this is serious stuff. But sometimes I just have to be me and pop out. But remember on Sunday I said, we breaking shackles, we breaking the chains. We're going to talk about 6 chains this week. Some of the chains you're going to be chained down by, and some of them you're not. But the thing is to focus on which ones that have you held back so that you can break yourself free from them. And right now, if you're thinking that it's okay to waste an hour a day. It's okay to give 15 hours of your life to watching someone else's when you could be working on your own. Then that's a conditioning problem. And that's a culture problem, which means you are now being held down by the two chains that we've talked about. We haven't even got to the next ones yet. Your life is so important and so valuable, and your time is so limited. I just want you to think about something really quick. Let's say you get to the end of your life. Let's say you are blessed to live another 40 years, because we don't know when our time is going to come, right? Tomorrow doesn't exist. And tomorrow didn't exist for about 200,000 people who were here yesterday. They didn't make it to today. But let's just say you're blessed to make it another 40 years of your life. And you spend just an hour, it's just an hour, it's nothing, just an hour a day on social media. So you're at the end of your life. The doctor's looking at you. Hey, okay, so I just want to let you know that you got about 2 more years to live. Now that's a blow in the chest. Like, you already know that you're towards the end of your life. You can feel it in your body. You see it, you're aged, everything. But just to hear somebody predict when your expiration date is going to be, even if they're off by a couple of days, weeks, or months, it still hits hard. It weighs heavy, right? So you're 40 years in the future, and the doc says you got 2 more years to live. How does that feel? But then he says, I was looking at your chart, and I noticed that you committed to about an hour a day on social media. So I did the calculations. Hour a day, that's about 15 days a year. It's really 15.2 days a year, but whatever. So 15 days a year, which is 608 days over the course of 40 years. Well, sorry, 608.33 days, but we're going to round it down because I know your time is valuable. So 15 days a year times 40 was 608 days. And I said, you got 2 more years to live, right? So that's 736 days, something like that. All right. So because you wasted 608 days of your life over the past 40 years, we actually have to subtract that from the 730 that you have. So that leaves you with about 122 days left, which is roughly 4 months. Hold up, Doc. You just said I had 2 more years left. Yeah, you did, but I looked at your chart. You wasted 608 of those days on social media the past 40 years of your life. So I had to take it back. You only have 4 months left. Now, how does that feel? See, it's easy to limit or take away the weight and the magnitude in the moment because it's just an hour. You're looking at it as just another day because you audaciously believe that tomorrow you're going to have another opportunity to do what you were supposed to do today. Tomorrow you're going to have another opportunity to impact the world the way you're supposed to impact it today. Tomorrow you're going to have another opportunity to influence those people who you were supposed to influence today, to serve those people you were supposed to serve today, to do the things that you were supposed to do today. You think it's going to be possible for you to do tomorrow, but you're wasting your opportunities, and then you're telling yourself a lie and saying, I don't have time to get up early and do that. I don't have time, but you just threw away an hour looking at somebody else live their life. Or the average person, 2.5 hours a day, which is well over twice that. If you look back, like if you're at the end of your life and you look back and you realize you wasted 608 days watching other people. And think about this now, please, because we're not even including the streaming services and how much time you spend there. We're not including the news and how much time you spend there, because you think that it's important, that you need to know what's going on in the world, but you still stuck in the world that you don't want to be in. You're still stuck in the body that you don't want to be in. You're still stuck at the job you don't want to be at. You're still driving the car you don't want to drive. You're still living in the apartment you don't want to live in. You're still in the bad relationship that you don't want to be in. You got all of this potential inside of you, and you've set some goals, but you left them back in February and January because you didn't have a resolution. You didn't make a firm decision to do some things and not do other things. You just said, I'm going to set it, and then we're going to see what's going to happen. You got to get committed. You got to release yourself from the chains of culture and the chains of conditioning, and commit yourself to the champion that's trying to come out of you. But you got to take your life serious. You got to take your time serious. Tomorrow's not promised. But if it is for you, what are you going to do today so that tomorrow you can have accomplished something that most of the world hasn't? What are you going to do in this moment so that tomorrow, when you get to it, you're better for it? Like, everybody wants to live in the now, but how are you living in the now? Yeah, be aware. Be aware of the now. Have goals for the future. Believe that you're going to be here, but if you're going to believe that you're going to be here, then you need to be doing something today that gets you closer to where you do want to be tomorrow, if you make it. Otherwise, why are you taking up somebody else's oxygen? It's people right now who wish they had the opportunities that you have. It's people lying in a grave that if somebody could come tap them and say, hey, I can get you back out of here. You just got to use the gifts and talents that are inside of you. And you got to make every day count. And they said, that's all I got to do? Please, get me out of here. Give me one more day, just one more day. Give me one more week. And they coming up out just so that they can do everything that they knew they had inside of them to do and try to live it out to the fullest. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to try to live every day like it's your last. Like my guy Steve Jobs said. He said he woke up, he looked himself in the mirror, and he asked himself, if today is your last day, would you be doing what you're about to do? And he said, if the answer to that question was no too many days in a row, then it was time for him to change what he was doing. If today was your last day, what you're about to do, is that what you would be doing? If your answer is no, then you can check in tomorrow if you're here. But go ahead and get started today. And if you don't know what you're supposed to do and what your purpose is, guess what? That means you're a blank canvas. That means you have the authority and the ability to pursue your purpose however you please. Chase it, find it, look for it. Try different things so that you can figure it out. What is it that you can do easily that might be harder for other people to do, but when you do it, they look at you and they're like, oh my goodness, that was so great. You did an amazing job. I wish I could do it like that. And you're like, oh, well, it wasn't that hard. That's going to show you where your gifts are, your talents are. And your gifts and your talents are going to make room for you. That's where you're going to find your purpose. That's how you're going to be able to serve other people. That's how you're going to be able to impact the world. But the first thing you got to do is take these chains off. You got to take them off. You got to decondition yourself. You got to decommit. Don't do it for the culture anymore. Do it for your purpose. Do it for the champion that's waiting to come out of you. So sit with yourself today. 10 minutes. You already spent an hour on social media. You can spend 10 minutes with yourself. And really reflect on what I said. Like, just 1 hour a day, that's 15 days of my life that I can't get back. 40 years from now, that means That's 638 days that I can't get back. How is your life? How valuable is your life to you? Is it worth that hour? Or do you know that there's something much better that you could be doing with your time? Because you know it has a limit. And once it's spent, it's gone. It's non-exchangeable and non-refundable. It's heavy, man. It's a heavy day. But I want you to be great because there's greatness in you. And for some reason, you're being held back and you just couldn't quite figure out why. It could be that conditioning from yesterday or the culture of today. But you know what it is. If you don't remember anything I just said, always remember this. It's a great day to be alive. It's a great day to be great. And it's a great day to find the greatness in you. Now go out there and live the greatest day of your life.